RT reports, snowflake students get university to apologize for calling Snow white. That's right, calling Snow white is now racist. This is absolutely incredible. This is not The Onion. This is a serious story. University College London was forced to apologize after a dreaming of a white campus tweet. That was what they said. Dreaming of a white campus was deemed racist by snowflake students. The tweet had been intended to let students know the campus was still open, as some parts of Britain remain covered by 13 inches of snow. The tweet said, dreaming of a white campus, our campuses will be open. They got backlash. Now, of course, it wasn't any kind of massive, it was probably one person. They probably got one, and in fact, in this article, they only quote one person who replied to the tweet and said, you know who else dreamt of white campus? Hitler, that's who. Disgusting. So because they got this one tweet in response saying it was racist to say snow is white, they retracted and apologized. Again, this is the mass mental illness gripping the UK. If one person is offended by somebody saying snow is white, they have to apologize. They have to walk it back. Now, what was even more hilarious was the backlash to the backlash. Of course, the backlash to the backlash was people saying, what in the hell are you doing? Apologizing to someone who's offended because you said snow was white. But again, it was already done, and that was the end of the story because one person got offended. Again, they were absolutely petrified as being portrayed as racist. They walked it back. They apologized. Boston professor proclaims Jingle Bells a racist song. We're not going to get into the details of that, but again, it's the same thing. These snowflakes getting triggered. Stop apologizing for absolutely everything. Think about it. Take a deep breath for 10 seconds and realize you don't have to cater to these permanently offended morons.
It flipped over with another car that has fallen and basically was stopped by the train down on the highway. So that's a situation that is going to take a very long time to clear up. Mm-hmm. We have no sense whatsoever of what casualties there may be in those cars you see dangling off of the overpass there. We did speak, as we've mentioned, with one passenger who was in a car a little further back named Chris Carnes a while ago, who described his car careening down an embankment, feeling the car basically crumble and breaking apart and escaping through a window that he kicked out. He said there were not many other passengers in his car. They all got out, but he saw multiple injuries.
And we have views now, Anthony, from a Google map, a satellite view of this accident from a Google map of the track that you can see there. You can clearly see a curve there.
Yeah, that's what the passenger, Chris Carnes, described the train going into a curve, and that's where the accident occurred.
You know, I can remember that Philadelphia Amtrak crash that I covered, and that was the issue. It was going too fast around a curve.
Yeah.
And because of the unfamiliarity with that curve and because the conductor did not know how to slow down, that caused the derailment. I mean, they figured that out after, you know, several years of investigation that it was speed and it was the curve.
And again,
Caiu tudo, velho. Até o som. Pô, tá ligado, velho. O que tá acontecendo? O que nós estamos fazendo?
This right here is the Santa Barbara County line. This is the community of Carpinteria down here, and so the fire has spread past what you see on the map right now. We've been expecting, significant winds for the last week or so. The forecasts have called for those to continue for a few more days. The east and northeast winds have subsided quite a bit, but the ridgetop winds, particularly in the coastal range around Santa Barbara, are present almost all the time.
I doubt in American presidential election history that there has been as great a crime or as large a stain on our democracy than that committed by a criminal cabal in our FBI and the Department of Justice who think they know better than we who our president should be.
We've been tracking this over the past hour or so. It appears to be over, but it appears to be yet another attack or attempted attack by ISIS right in the center of the Afghanistan capital of Kabul. 3 of their fighters said to storm a building there under construction at the country's national spy headquarters. They used a car bomb. They used RPGs. There was an intense fight. These 3 militants apparently were killed by Afghan security forces. There's no other casualties being reported. The once secure Afghan capital has been a battleground over the past several months. Just in May, we saw a car bomb attack, the truck bomb attack, which left 150 dead. All of this, Sandra, comes on the heels of a report by the Pentagon to Congress just on Friday saying that all was going well with the fight in Afghanistan. But it did note in the past 6 months, there have been 2,500 operations or strikes involving U.S. Special Force operators along with Afghan security members. They were going after both the Taliban and the ISIS. Remember, President Trump has put 14,000 troops in this country right now, and that war has been going on for 16 plus years.
Numbers don't lie. Chief, let's take a look at this. In January 25th, the new administration takes over. The rhetoric is strong, and what is the result in terms of crossings?
So this is the number of individual family units and unaccompanied children that are arrested here in the Rio Grande Valley during those time frames.
Look at the drop, right?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's 45-year low in May.
And then what happens?
So the calculation starts to change. Since May, these loopholes that exist in current law are now being re-exploited.
And the numbers go up again.
So the consequences matter, and that's a demonstration of it.
And it's not just facts and figures, it's what the actual border agents are experiencing as well. You talk about trends. What did you see in January of this year, and what are you seeing now?
Trends, they were starting in January, things kind of calmed down, but they've kind of re-escalated again, and we've started seeing an increase of more people coming in and just continuing to enter.
We are seeing an upscale in like I said, the narcotics, the hard narcotics. That's gone up a lot.
We know how the White House wants to fix that.
We are building a wall on the southern border, which is absolutely necessary.
And what did the president tell you when he got the job?
Build a wall.
Protect
our country.
But what do the men and women of CPB think? If someone could build a barrier, would that help?
I mean, somebody could build a barrier, easier said than done, but of course it'd help out.
A wall works where we use it. We put fences and walls around things that we want to protect in this country. Our homes, our communities, parks, individual factories. We put fences around them because they work.
And for those who work the border, this is not just a job, it's a mission.
Definitely, we know for the majority of the folks here, they want to be safe. The more impact that we can have on illegal immigration, the better for them because they feel safe.
The laws are the laws, so we're not discriminating or being prejudiced towards any particular race or ethnicity. We're just doing our job.
That's really
Now to a Fox News alert. At least 9 people are dead and more than 50 have been injured in a suicide bomb attack at a church in Pakistan. Officials say 2 suicide bombers launched the attack on a church while hundreds of people were attending services inside. Security forces managed to take out one of the attackers at the entrance to the church, but the other attacker made it inside after being wounded by police on the scene. At this hour, police are still searching for 2 additional suspected accomplices who also managed to escape.
Hondurans react to the announcement that Juan Orlando Hernandez is back as president. Supporters of his challenger, Salvador Nasralla, are convinced of electoral fraud and convinced they can stop Hernandez from taking office. This is the moment the announcement was broadcast to the nation.
After computing all of the ballots, after resolving all the challenges, the tribunal has got the final results, and we make this known to the Honduran people in this declaration. For the President of the Republic, we have the National Party of Honduras, Juan Orlando Hernandez, with 42.95%.
It was meant to put an end to 3 weeks of unrest after Nasralla challenged the result. Initial counts suggested the leftist candidate had won. Then the tally was reversed, giving Conservative Hernandez a slim lead. On Sunday, Nasralla flew to Washington, D.C. to argue his case for a new election, updating his supporters on the way.
The struggle continues and will continue. Any of the things that are scheduled shouldn't be surprised if they are, obviously, peaceful.
His backer, former President Manuel Zelaya, wasn't so diplomatic.
The Electoral Court imposes a fraud in favor of Juan Orlando Hernandez, and violent popular action will change that vote for Salvador Nasralla.
The vote was contentious long before it was held. Hernandez's opponents argue he should never have run. The Honduran constitution limits presidents to 1 term, but 2 years ago, the Supreme Court, dominated by judges appointed by Hernandez, ruled the term limits don't apply to him. Then came the allegations of voting irregularities.
The Electoral Observer Mission has observed a process of low electoral quality and therefore cannot settle the doubts over what has been announced.
The Organization of American States is calling for a new election, but President Hernandez's party is defiant.
The Electoral Court, as the only electoral authority, brings the final and definitive result. For that reason, the Organization of American States or another institution cannot say anything different about the story.
But his words appear to change little on the streets where there is no certainty. The division between Hernandez and Nasralla is increasingly entrenched, with more protests planned.
The Turks have always been passionate about the Palestinian cause. Despite the Ankara chill, protesters spent 3 hours listening to music and speeches. They waved Turkish and Palestinian flags and a fair amount of anti-American signs.
Turkey is a majority Muslim country that acts unified and together. It should lead in the Muslim world. If Muslims are united, I'm hopeful the Jerusalem problem will be sorted.
Since U.S. President Donald Trump broke with decades of American policy and recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, the Turkish street has been vocal. And President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has emerged as a potent advocate for Palestinians. He's pushing for leaders to take their condemnation and transform it into action. Erdogan is taking his case to the UN Security Council, where he says he hopes to, quote, annul Trump's decision. It's unlikely he'll get much traction, given that the United States holds veto power. But he says, barring success there, he'll move on to the UN General Assembly. It's clear Turkey plans on continuing to persist and highlight this issue on the geopolitical stage.